Shalom. Today, under our Department of U.S. Citizenship, we're going to discuss the matter of a student visa. And in this video, we're going to explain all about a student visa to the United States, the conditions, how long the visa is given for, what are the requirements, and so on and so forth, based on questions that we were asked just during our practice here. So the first question that we're usually asked is, how is one basically eligible for a student visa in the United States? So the basic requirement for eligibility is that you're approved by an academic institution in the United States to study there. Homeland Security basically has a list of recognized institutions for this purpose. Another question that's connected to this question that we're asked quite a bit is it possible to apply before you're officially approved for the visa, the student visa? And the answer, unfortunately, is no. And if you did apply and pay the fee, then the fee won't be returned to you. The reason is that with your application, you need to basically submit an I-20 form, which in order to submit this form, you need proof that you were basically approved already to study in the relevant academic institution. Another question we're asked on this matter is, how long is the visa given for? So basically, the visa can be given for up to a year even. However, it's important to note, and even more important to note in this matter, that you still cannot enter the country prior to 30 days before your studies begin. And 60 days after your studies end, you need to leave the United States. And if your studies end for any other reason, you also will need to leave the United States. Another question we're asked is about the documents that are required to submit and the evidence you need to submit in order to obtain the student visa. So as explained, you need the I-20 form, and in addition to the I-20 form, you need an S-160 confirmation, which proves that the application was properly submitted. And in addition to that, you also need to bring evidence and proof that you will be returning to your home country. In our case, it's usually Israel, after your studies end. In order for that to prove that, because it's a non-immigrant visa, you need to bring proof of center of life in Israel, that you have family in Israel, and that you don't have any incentive or interest to stay in the United States after your studies finish. Another question we're asked quite a bit is about spouses and children. What about the spouse and children? Will they get a visa? So yes, the spouse and children can get dependent visas to stay in the United States with the student. For the child, you need a birth certificate where you can see the name of the child and the name of the student as the parent, as they appear on the passports. And for the spouse, you will need to submit an official marriage certificate that's authorized and authenticated with an apostille stamp or by the United States Embassy where the marriage certificate was issued. In this note, it's important to understand that common law relationships are not recognized in the United States, and marriage certificates are therefore very important here and crucial and an actual prerequisite. It's important to note that the United States does accept same-sex marriages for this purpose. However, as explained, you still will need a marriage certificate. And as you might know, many countries do not issue marriage certificates for same-sex couples, and therefore, if you're not yet married, you will need to officially get married, and our office can assist you with that via marriages in countries that do recognize same-sex marriages. So if you will need assistance with that, you can read about this in other articles and videos we have on our website. Final question we're asked many times is, what if the student is already an American citizen? Let's say an American that grew up in Israel, and then wants to study in the United States and wants his spouse and child to join. So in this situation, the spouse and child won't be able to get a dependent visa because the student is already an American citizen and can't therefore hold a U.S. visa himself. So that spouse and children will be able to apply for an independent visa somehow, or they can just apply for a green card and citizenship, as you can learn in other videos and articles we have on our website. I hope that all this information was helpful, and if you have any further questions or clarifications, you can please feel free to contact us. Thank you very much for your time.